Be recording this part. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. So when it's a revenue profit type of question, you're gonna have to come up with a table. This one will have 3 columns, so it's unlike what you've seen so far. There were always 2 columns, right? The X and the Y. With these types, you're gonna have to have 3 columns, okay? Oops, columns, sorry. So there will be cost, that'll usually be like the cost per ticket or cost per item, the number of items in question, and the revenue or profit that that would result in. So you basically are coming up with possible points that will lie on the parabola. Okay. Um, so I will give you an example. Okay. Or first I will make sure you have the note here. Turn on plot 1, comma, to use zoom 9, right? I will also say that generally questions will ask how the profit could be maximized. This means that we will have to find the vertex. Break even point refers to the x-intercept. C, right? We're at C. What price would result in maximum profit? Okay, D. Sorry. Thank you. Hold on here. I think I have to be a bit more specific with G because of that's what I'm going to put down. Domain and range when we compare price and profit. And then graph price versus profit. Wow. Recording here. So now we're going to answer all of these questions. Okay, so quite a few. And so this is going to take us probably the whole class to go through this because I take my time. Okay. So we're going to do one question at a time. This all starts, a type 1 question starts with making columns, okay? It doesn't really matter, the order of the first two don't really matter, but the third one is always our profit. Okay, so I'm going to go with what I have for my answer key. And so what I have here is I have price first, or fee, right? It's like the cost. Okay, we can call it both, so price or cost. Then you have number of items. So this could be number of tickets, number of people, number of cans, you name it, right? And the resulting profit. Okay, so you basically want to have a table with 3 columns. Okay, and let's not box it in just yet. But essentially, the first line, they will have to give you a start. Okay, so in this case, if you read the question, it says that 400 kids will attend a movie, right? And they will be charged 80 cents. Okay. And I made a mistake. This is supposed to be $1.80. Can we change that? I apologize. It's just gonna be too small of change it to $1.80. My bad. Okay. So please, everybody, change it to $1.80 so you're not confused later why we have. So basically, between this value, which is the price per ticket, and the number of items, in this case is kids, right? You fill that in right away. So you say that, okay, it's $1.80 per ticket, and we'll have 400 students attend at that price. Okay, so that's given. That you don't have to come up with. They will give you enough to get you started. And then they will say that if you change one, it will affect the other one in a certain way. Okay, so it says here for every 10-cent increase in price, there'll be 40 fewer tickets sold. So basically, if you were to increase this by 10 cents, this would be $1.90, right? So if you increase this by 10 cents, this will decrease by 40. So this would technically be 360, because what happened from there to there, you lost 40 customers, right? 40 students in this case. And that continues on, okay? So you could do one more. So another 10-cent increase. So 10-cent increase, you lost 40. If you increase it 10 cents one more time, you're going to lose another 40, right? Every time that happens, this stays the same, right? You could continue this on for a long time, forever, right? But we don't want to go too far. 3 points is all we're after. That's like the minimum we need to come up with our quadratic. So this is what I asked you to fill in first. Be very careful. Students sometimes mix it up. Like they'll add 10 cents to this one and subtract this one by 40 or something like that. You have to make sure you keep this, because again, these two, the order doesn't really matter as long as you put them in the right place. As long as you have profit at the end. So let's now consider the first scenario. If you charge $1.80, you have 400 attending. What would be your profit? Well, profit, if you think about it, is price times number of items, right? That's how you come up with how much you would be making. So remember that. I won't ask you to put this down in the future. I just need you to remember that. So therefore, the profit for the first scenario, you take the price per ticket, you'd multiply by 400. Just leave it like that. Make sure you write it down like this, because I'll show you why. Under the second scenario, if you were to charge $1.90, it's 360 that you would sell. And then the third scenario, it's $2. You would sell 320 tickets that way. Okay. So this is what the table always looks like. Okay. Now, I will box it in just to have it a little nicer. And this is part of A, by the way. You need that to come up with an equation. Okay. Let's see what the first equation is, what the first question says. It says, careful here, determine the quadratic equation relating the number of tickets. So it's tickets and profit. Okay. Oops. So tickets and profit means which one of these two represents tickets? Well, it's this one here, right? I'm going to put down tickets on top just so you know that they mean the same thing, right? Number of tickets, number of items is the same thing. I'm just generalizing because it won't always be tickets. So we want to put this into L1. That's going to be our X value. and we're going to type this into L2. By the way, this always goes into L2. The common mistake students make is they take the first two columns, put this into L1 and this into L2. It will not work. It's either this and this, or the first one and the second one. You'll see, and the third one, sorry. It's either these two columns or these two columns, but profit is definitely always L2, okay? So for A, we're gonna have to do a stat calc quadratic. And I'm gonna throw a bunch of ACs at you in the next little while on these types, so you get really comfortable with this concept, okay? So take your calculators now, and let's go ahead and type this into L1 and L2. So stat, edit, clear, whatever you have in there. And I'm going to go ahead and put the 400, the 360, and the 320 into L1. Okay, so go ahead and do that. And now I'm going to show you a little trick. It's not mind-blowing, but it is a nice feature. You go 1.80, right, times 400. Go ahead and type that into that cell. And then hit enter. It will already compute it for you. So if you're wondering what just happened, right? I just went to the first cell. I went 1.8 times 400. And that gave me 720. And that's when I go ahead and write this down. The reason why is sometimes these will be decimals. And if you do it right in there, you're using all decimals. That's why I like you to type it in here. Next one is a $1.90 times 360. That's 684. Then it's 2 times 320, which is of course 640, right? So you've essentially entered these values into L2. And remember, it's tickets and profit that they're asking you to compare to come up with the equation for. Okay? So let's. Right. So how would you know? It's the wording. So let's look at that's at A. It's asking you to come up with the equation relating tickets and profit, right? So this is tickets and this is profit. So now you know that this is L1 and this is L2. And you're like, what about price? Like, what is the purpose of it? Well, you needed it to come up with this value here in profit, right? But it will not be part of your equation. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's go ahead and find the equation. So I'm going to go stat, calculate 5. Unless you did a quadratic regression recently, I think I cleared my whole screen. You can just always just go up and find it, and then you don't have to type it in all the time. And you get something like this. Because it ends, okay, it's finite, I write down all of A, okay? I write everything down. So I'm going to say that the equation is y is equal to negative 0.0025x squared plus 2.8x. Done. Notice that C is 0 in this case. And the idea being is if you think about your initial profit, if you sell 0 tickets, you'll make $0, right? So you start with 0 and then it keeps going up. So just so you know, every single point here is tickets and profit under this quadratic equation. So go ahead and write it down, and then I would like you to graph it. Try to see if you would be able to see this graph, okay? So first thing I'm going to check is my plot 1 turned on? And I just turned it off earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Just make sure that when you go arrow down, it's highlighted. Then I'm going to go zoom 9. You're going to want to go zoom 9 almost right away. And you're like, this looks like a straight line, right? Does that look at all like a parabola? It kind of does. It curves a little bit, but it's not a parabola at all. So basically what you're seeing is you're seeing a section, those 3 points we just created, it's zooming into those, but the parabola continues, right? It keeps going this way, and it also keeps on going here, down here. So watch what I'm going to do. This is almost standard procedure. I'm going to go window, change my X-min to -5, because I want to see a little bit to the left of the y-axis. And I'm also going to change my y-min to -5. That's after I've done zoom 9, okay? Now hit graph. Okay, that's much better, don't you think, right? The -5, -5 brought you so that you can see the origin, okay? That's important. Now I'm going to scout and just adjust my window so I see the rest of it going this way. So I'm going to have to increase my y max and increase my x max. I'm thinking I should at least double my x max, right? Because I'm not quite halfway. If I double it, I probably will see more. I'll more than double it in this case. So x max, I'm going to go 900. Y max, I'm going to go 1,000, okay? Just to be safe and make sure I see everything. And there it is. Oh, didn't do so well on my X max, did I? And this is what you're going to encounter. You're going to graph it. Oh, let's go back, change it, right? Window, X max, I'm going to go 1,500. And now it's there. Now I see the whole, remember this is money and number of items, right? Sorry, yeah, tickets and money, profit. So you are in quadrant 1. We're not dealing with the other quadrants, okay? And so zoom 9 zoomed into those 3 points right there. That's why it looked like you had a straight line, okay? So zoom 9 is just to get you onto the line, and then you go x min -5, y min -5, and then you expand going right and up accordingly, okay? So I just wanted to make sure you knew how to find it. Now, let's go back. Maybe what I will say is zoom 9, right? Then change x min to -5, y min to -5. That's something that I kind of would like you to know, because some students try to not a lot, doesn't happen very often, but some students do the zoom 9 thing. I'm going to do it one more time. And they try to find the vertex looking at this. They try to find the vertex out of this section. Well, you're never going to find the vertex. It's not there. You're not looking at the whole graph, right? So keep that in mind. So -5, -5, 1,500 I think I had here, and 1,000 going up. And so then you can see, oops, this was supposed to be 1,500 there. Then you see the whole graph. Now you can answer questions. Okay, moving on. B. Here, notice what the question is saying. I'm going to go back to B. Determine the equation relating the price. You're going to relate the price and the profit. So it's column 1 and column 2. So to not mess up our graph there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that we're going to put the price into L1 and we're going to put the profit into L2. Okay, make this note. We're now making this our L1. Okay, and then we're going to do a stat calc 5 again and come up with the equation. It's actually easier than what you think, and I'll show you in a bit. So grab your calculator. We have to change, the profit stays the same, right? L2 stays the same, we have to change L1. So go stat, enter, go to L1, clear what's in there, and just go 180, 190, and $2. Does it make sense that L2 stays the same? I hope it makes sense, because 180 times 400 is still always 720, right? You are just now feeding it L1, you're feeding price into it, because you want to find the equation that compares your price per ticket and the profit. That's what you want to compare, those two, okay? So once you change this, I'm going to do the shortcut. I'm going to go to my home screen. I'm going to go up, copy the last time I did the quadratic regression. So just hit enter and then hit enter one more time. First enter copies it, second enter executes it, okay? So then you have that as your equation. So they're different equations, okay? So I'm going to move over my calculator and write it down. Okay. So this equation right here compares the price and the profit. Okay? Price and profit, this is the equation. Tickets and profit, this is the equation. They both have profit on the y-axis, but they have different values in the x-axis, okay? Now C, what's C asking for? You can go back. I now won't be able to show you anymore. But C is asking what price would result in the maximum profit for the theater. And I did this on purpose. I asked you for the price because that's the last equation we graphed. So price to maximize profit. So we're going to have to find the vertex. So we have a max, right? So second trace max, that's how we're going to find it. And here's the pain again of being able to see your graph. Note that I did this on purpose because this is already what we just did. So I'm asking you for the price that would maximize the profit. So we're going to use this equation that we just did. So let's see if we can graph this. I'm going to go zoom 9. Watch what happens here. You're looking at the parabola coming down. So the first thing you do is change the x-min, y-min. So -5, -5. That's what I would do. That's in my experience, that's the best to approach it that way. Change x-min, y-min to -5, and it's just an arbitrary. Sorry, something. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. So we almost see the graph here, but we need to increase y max and x max. So x max, I'm going to go 10. Y max, I am going to go maybe 1,000. And there's your parabola. Let's go ahead and find the vertex. second trace, it's a maximum. So we got to go to the left of it, enter, to the right of it, enter, and then enter one more time. So it's 1.40784. That's, so write down the coordinates. 1.40784. Knowing that the first value is the X value, right? And that corresponds to price. So a price of $1.40 per ticket will maximize the profit. You see dots but no line? Oh, fixed it. Okay. Okay, you didn't do the regression. That's right. Just a quick thing here. What are you looking at? Remember that there's the price down here per ticket, and this is the profit. So notice this. Let's say your price is 0 and then you start increasing it. Obviously, you're going to make more profit. Okay. Oh, stay alive here. You're going to make more profit. As the price per ticket increases, so will your profit. But you reach a point at which you can't make any more money. It's almost like you reached your maximum capacity, because if you keep increasing your price, fewer people will show up, and so that's why your profit is slowly going to decrease. So it's actually true for a lot of things. That's what companies, that's how they find the sweet spot. That's how they find the best price. They do some surveys and research, right? And they determine that maximum price they can charge to still make a profit, okay? To maximize the profit based on what they are able to do, okay? And produce. So that's what's happening here. D, how many tickets would you expect to sell? And this is where I use the formula. Remember that profit is the price times the tickets. So what is the profit in C? The profit is $784. So if you make a profit of $784 and the price in C at that point would be $1.40, okay, then tickets become your X, right? This is your unknown. So the price is there and the tickets is unknown. What would you do there? Divide both sides by $1.40. This cancels out. So X is going to be 784 divided by 140. And you get, watch for this, okay? If you get a decimal here, if you got 561.2, you have to round to a whole number, okay? I always write down the decimal first, and then I go approximately this many, okay? So you have to round to whole numbers at times. So this is how many tickets you would expect to sell if your price was $1.40. So I'm basically just using what I found in C to come up with that. Okay. So let's recap this though. Okay. Let's go back to A. Let's say you had used this formula, this equation, and found the vertex here. If you use this equation, I'm tempted to do that right now. We will type this in manually into our Y1. Let's go ahead and do that because it's a nice number to type in. So clear whatever's in Y1. Yeah, clear it. We're going to turn off plot 1 and we're going to type in negative 0.0025x squared plus 2.8x and try to graph it. So just hit graph. Hopefully it will show up most of it. Oh, it's there. Wait a minute. Did I type in the right? Okay. So it's way down here. Okay, so let's try to see if we can find the graph here. So I'm going to increase my X max significantly. I'm going to go 1,000 and hit graph again. There it is. So look at my window here. I kept the -5s. I increased the X max to 1,000, but I'm going to increase it to 1,500. Look at it, and then I'm going to hit graph. Let's go ahead and find a vertex now that you see it. So second trace, it's a maximum. Enter, enter, enter. Notice that with this equation that you just entered, what does the first number represent? Tickets, right? And the profit is still 784. So the maximum profit is the maximum profit. It never changes. What is your maximum number of tickets in this case? 560, right? This rounds to 560. Isn't that what we just found here, right? So there's various ways of getting there, but this would have been the easiest way, in my opinion, instead of having to retype everything. E, what's the maximum profit? I think we've got that one under control, right? $784. I think we figured that out already earlier, right? Like we know what the maximum profit is. Since Vertex is 1.40, 784 in C, okay? And we know that this corresponds to the profit for both equations. F, what ticket price or prices would yield means give a profit of 450. Profit is our y variable, okay? Therefore, we know what y is, so we're going to make y2 equal to 450 and then hit second trace 5 to determine those intersections. So now I just made you do something earlier, which I'm going to ask you to undo. Grab your calculators. Mr. Dirksen, you're going back and forth. I will do more examples. Don't worry about it. I'm going to ask you to go to your home screen. So second quit, second mode. Go up and perform a quadratic regression again, because I want to use what I put in L1 and L2 and use the latest equation we just found. So now what it did is this would overwrite whatever was in Y1 earlier. And let's hit graph again. Hold on. what ticket price would result in a profit of 450. Yes, so because we're using L1 and L2, okay, so watch carefully. I'm going to go y equals. I'm going to turn on plot 1. Then I'm going to go zoom 9 right away. Zoom 9. That way you at least see the line. And then you got to go window, go -5, -5. And I believe X max was at least 10. And this was 1,000. There it is. So sorry, I'm going to let you see my window there. Then graph it. And now we're going to let y2 equal to 450. Graph it. There are 2 ticket prices that would result in that profit of 450. It happens once on its way up and once on its way down. So we're going to find them both. So I'm going to find the leftmost, and that's 0.49450. And second trace 5. Find the one on the other side, that's 2.31 450. So a ticket price of 49 cents or $2.31 result in a $450 profit. We'll do the domain and range, and then we'll graph, and that'll be it for today. So go ahead and write this down. Okay. I'm going to grab a So to get my domain and range, okay, G is going to be right here. Domain and range. Okay, and we're talking, remember that right now I'm asking you to think of price and profit, right? So price and profit are in play. For my profit, which is the y variable, you're going from 0, that's the lowest amount that you can profit, up to 784. That's the highest amount that we've determined that we can earn. In terms of the price, of course, you would be able to start with 0. And what is the highest amount that you can charge? Thinking about the parabola, right? Because you have price and profit, right? And the parabola goes like this and then back down. It's at this point, that's the maximum, because after that, you're going to start losing money, right? Because it keeps going down. So we have to find the x-intercept, right? So the x-intercept is going to give us that. So we're going to go y2 is equal to 0, second trace 5. And there it is. Second trade is 5. That's 2.8. $2.80. That's 2.80. So that's 2.80. Let's put 2.80 down. That's the maximum profit that you can make in this case. And we're going to try to make our nicest graph possible. You should practice making nice graphs, right? So this is price in dollars, profit in dollars. Now, before I finish my graph, I'm just going to tell you already. This is the handout, so I'm just going to make it appear once. You have one that says type 1 on it. It's a bigger, it's almost like a little booklet. Okay, that's the one you're going to work on after this lesson. Okay, that's your homework. And so what are we going to do here? I need to account for at least 280. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? That's good. And 780 up here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to make this 200, 400, 600, 800. Just because I'm running out of space. So I'm starting at 0, 0. At 1, my vertex is at 140. So 150 would be about half. So 140 is here. And I'm at 784 right there. And then I'm at 280 over here. You go out and down. Out and down. That's it. And I will post the answer key as well. That one I have made already.